Name a subject in the field of animal bioscience and the betting is it'll be covered here at the recently expanded and redeveloped Easter Bush campus, the cornerstone of the Midlothian Life Science Cluster at the heart of the Edinburgh Science Triangle. The Roslin Institute, which will forever be known as the birthplace of Dolly the cloned sheep, is a major player here. It has 4 divisions: quantitative genetics, where the focus is on improving the productivity of livestock; developmental biology, which builds on the legacy of Dolly; neurobiology, where animal behaviour is studied, along with diseases like mad cow; and infectious diseases, where the aim is to protect animals from bacterial and viral disease. But this work also impacts on human health.
A lot of people are unaware of, they're heard of the Green Revolution, and we know about the productivity of plants, but the productivity of the animals has also massively increased, particularly chickens and pigs and dairy cattle. If those productivity increases had not occurred, then a significant proportion of the world would be starving and would have protein malnutrition. So in our lifetime, when I was a child, chicken was a luxury, and now we eat it every day. Pork, the productivity of pigs has increased more than 2-fold. So that means you put less food in for the amount of meat that you get out, and that's economically extremely important. Increasing the productivity actually is a green activity. It means that you burn less greenhouse gases in order to get the same nutritional output.
We estimate very conservatively that there is £100 million per annum of increased productivity in the UK economy that can be attributed to the work of Roslin over the last 20 to 30 years.
It's absolutely crucial to the economy of the United Kingdom. This institute, we did an economic impact assessment recently, and this institute generates wealth at levels vastly in excess of the amount that we receive in government and other funding, and we make industries around us happen. So economically, this is a very important activity.
The world population is now over 7 billion. We are running out of natural resources, ecosystems are under pressure, and we face the added problem of climate change. But alongside the Roslin Institute, the Scottish Agricultural College quietly plays its part in this unfolding drama.
There'll be huge pressures on food production in the future. So what we're trying to do, many of us here and in agricultural research more generally around the world, is to try and produce systems that feed more people with less resource requirements and with less impact on the environment. And the purpose here is to try and see whether we can find genes or combinations of genes from these old and new varieties that give us new opportunities to use resources more efficiently, to combat disease more effectively. I think in both animal and plant breeding, we're very conscious of the fact that we've become dependent on a very small fraction of the total diversity that exists out there. And in both plant and animal species, we're interested in going back to some of the more ancient varieties to see whether combinations between those and modern strains help us address some of those very pressing challenges that I outlined.
Half a mile along the road at the Morden Research Institute, the focus is on animal health and welfare, mostly livestock, sheep, cattle, pigs and chickens. Morden was started in the 1920s by a group of Scottish farmers, but its work and influence has grown impressively since then.
I believe that healthy, productive and efficient animals are good for both the animal population and good for the human population. We can help to build the science results that are required to produce the vaccines, the diagnostic tests and the disease control programs that will be exploited across the world, including in developing countries where very much technological solutions are required, right across sub-Saharan Africa, trying to make sure those own countries can produce food for their own people. One of the areas that Morden has been working on for many years now are producing vaccines against nematode worm infections in cattle and sheep. I'm delighted to say that we're in the process of producing a vaccine in Australia made to good manufacturing process standards and which is undergoing clinical trials as we speak. So we're extremely optimistic that this vaccine will be in use in Australia in the near future, and it will be a demonstration of how research undertaken in Scotland can have an impact right across the world.
We fundamentally want to educate students and we want to advance knowledge. So we have three arms essentially. We teach undergraduates, we teach postgraduates, so we teach the next generation of vets, and we do fundamental research right through from basic research through to clinical research, and we perform a clinical service. So we have 3 hospitals here. We have farm animal, we have an equine hospital, and we have a small animal hospital as well. The whole sort of ethos, if you like, is translational research here. So although we have a clinical arm, which is our commercial arm, and we do teaching, essentially we like to think we're at the forefront of clinical research, so we can apply those basic research technologies right into clinical practice, and also our students have the benefit of having access to all of that as well.
So these groups all have their own, slightly different roles to play in tackling what are undoubtedly global challenges. And there's a spirit of collaboration here that benefits everyone.
With the Scottish Agricultural College, we collaborate historically on surveillance, so identifying existing and new diseases affecting particularly livestock species across Scotland. And we also link with SAC through Scottish Government funding, again on animal health and welfare, particularly relating to infectious disease from Morden's perspective, and SAC have had a significant role in genetics and in welfare of farmed animals. With the Roslin Institute, again, we have a number of different collaborations ongoing on a variety of areas. Breeding for disease resistance is a particularly topical one at the moment. And we also have some new initiatives with joint funding opportunities to make sure that we're building the scientific communities for the future. So that's supporting PhD students, supporting master's students, and linking in again with a variety of different educational projects.
There's a lot of new scientific techniques that we can use to enhance animal production, but we need to be certain that they're not at the cost of animal welfare. That's another area of interface between the institutions. With Morden and Roslin and the Dick Vet, we also have many interactions in the areas of animal health. Our focus is on understanding the control of disease and the most cost-effective routes for controlling disease. So we have a large focus on epidemiology, on understanding disease interactions between farmed animals and wildlife, on understanding ways of controlling disease sustainably. So these are some of the areas where we interface, but all of us really trying to address the same fundamental problem of feeding a growing human population more sustainably.
We've realised, and it's part of the whole ethic of the college, including our relationships with Dick Vet and SAC and Morden, is that we share health with animals, particularly large animals that are much more similar to us. And so we actually learn things from our studies of animals that are relevant to human health. We learn the disease susceptibility genes. For example, we work on tuberculosis resistance in cattle, and we believe that it will be possible to breed tuberculosis resistance in cattle, which is good news for farmers and good news for cows, and also very good news for badgers. But the same genes are probably involved in human tuberculosis resistance, and so we can go across from human genetics to animal genetics, and I think that's a very fundamental direction for the future of the Institute.
It's all intimately linked, really. What we've done here over this site is to create an infrastructure of excellence in animal research and animal bioscience. The work that we do in terms of clinical problems feeds directly into research done at the Roslin Institute by our colleagues, equally to the Moredun, to SAC. So all of it comes together really to create a really strong infrastructure of animal research.
Nowhere is that collaboration better epitomised than in the area of knowledge transfer. Chris Walkup is director of the Biosciences Knowledge Transfer Network based at the Roslin Institute, and he gave me a wider view of the activities at Easter Bush.
So we're a knowledge transfer network, so we live in the space between industry, the research base, and funders, whether that be government funders or venture capitalists or private industry funders. And we're really just facilitators. Our job is to help people make the right connections, find the right partners, and then find the money to do the work that they want to do. We're measured by our government sponsor. Our main sponsor is the Technology Strategy Board, but we also get money from the Scottish Government. We're measured on delivery of new products and processes, impact from science. And one of the things that modern biology is doing is delivering massive quantities of data. That's not enough. There's a very real challenge in converting data to information, information to knowledge that you can apply. And you need biologists as well as informaticians and geneticists and everything else in the mix. And this place has got the whole mix. From a UK perspective, indeed from a European or international perspective, I can't think of a greater concentration of animal scientists, certainly anywhere in Europe and perhaps internationally. And it's about the mix of science as well. It's a very strong mix from basic biology right the way through to the applied end here.